There was a lot of wrestling this weekend. I don't think I officially recovered. Hi, partner. Your weekly AE. I am one of your hosts, and joining me as always is my hermano in arms, my better half in terms of wrestling, my favorite person to review these things with, El Bundador the Second. Thank you for being here.
I'm here.
Yeah, this is gonna be a fun one.
Mikey, who would
If
have thought this is 1 year? Who would have thought this? We were at the beginning of the collision. We did the one of the first collision reviews with the perspective. Like, how's that feel?
I can't even imagine that, let alone not only doing a year with AEW Collision, but then coinciding with earlier in the week the 1 year anniversary of BC WrestlePod in general.
Yeah,
So it's
yeah,
like double. It's like double mint gum,
double double.
double the pleasure, double the fun.
Como se dos. At
Oh.
any rate, good morning, everybody. Let's get down to some collision because it was a fun show. A little slow times, but it was fun. Go ahead, Mikey.
So we're not going to waste any time. We lots of things to get through. So we open Collision this week with an 8-person tag. I feel the best way to describe this is AEW versus potentially who might be showing up at Forbidden Door in 2 weeks. But
Right.
we have the entirety of the Blackpool Combat Club taking on the team of TMDK, which is being represented by Shane Hayes and Mikey Nichols, Rocky Azucar Romero, and Leo Rush as well.
Leo Rush. Yeah.
This was a fun 8-person tag. Everyone basically got in their spots, but ultimately it was BCC taking, everybody down and picking up the win here. Side note, I'm kind of sad to keep seeing Leo Rush getting pinned in
I know,
AEW.
right? Right, especially later on showing the chops he has. But yeah, this was a good starter. In terms of the Blackpool Combat Club, I felt like Claudio and John Mox did a lot of the heavy lifting. That could be because you got Wheeler coming back after the concussion recess that he's had, and then you have Brian Danielson who's coming back, and he's probably not 100% because of the chaos in the cage.
Anarchy in the arena
Yeah,
match, yeah.
anarchy. Yeah, the anarchy in the arena match, which that put everyone through their paces. I mean, it seems like everyone except for the EVP side that fought in that anarchy in the arena all got lumped up in various sorts. But at any rate, yeah, you still did get Wheeler and Brian Danielson hop in and get their spots on. But it was a fun beginner. Got me hyped for the show, so that was good. Always, Claudio Castagnoli, if not for his out of ring stuff, like with the Blackpool Coffee Club and the fact that he plays Warhammer 40K, he's been growing on me. So I have been starting to appreciate him more and more as a wrestler. Not that I've never thought that he was not a good wrestler. I've always thought that he has always had good ring sensibility. I just always felt like he kind of pulled from the same toolbox of moves all the time. This match though, it was different, and Claudio he keeps growing on me. Yeah, and we get Blackpool Combat Club for the win on this one.
Absolutely. And then afterwards, because we are 2 weeks away from Forbidden Door, Mox cuts a short promo afterwards against Tetsuya Naito, his opponent for the IWGP World Heavyweight Championship, and basically tells Naito that he's not looking to defend the title. He's looking to put this man in the ground, retire him from
Yeah,
professional wrestling. I'm like, damn.
a little aggressive, Mox. I mean, Moxley is aggressive, but this was like someone poured salt in his coffee instead of sugar. You know what I mean? It was a spot.
Makes me
That's it.
excited for Forbidden Door. But
Yeah, I mean, yeah.
yeah, but speaking of other people who have the right to be salty, we have the Acclaim and Daddy Ass come down to the ring to cut this in-ring promo.
Yup.
So this is mostly Max Caster and Anthony Bowens doing the heavy lifting for this promo.
Yes.
Basically, they talk about how the EVPs are abusing their power. Anthony Bowens got fined, and they showed the tweet like $5,000, which was kind of ridiculous because they're not allowed to rap. They can't say anything bad about the EVPs.
Yep.
But you know what? They don't care because they are here for the AEW fans and not the EVPs. And so they censor Max Caster a little bit because he dropped some no words that he wasn't supposed to, which is fun. which then prompts Brandon Cutler, basically our glorified lapdog for the EVPs, to come out and try to find the Acclaim again.
When did Brandon Cutler get this job? Because we've been rolling with this EVP storyline at least for over a month, and it seems to me in the last 2 weeks that's when Brandon Cutler has come out and has been the dude, the dude with the clipboard. You know what I mean? When did he sign on with all this?
I'm pretty sure if we go to their vlog channel, it probably could be there on somewhere. Because again, we watch a lot of wrestling, but I can't dedicate a lot of time to the rest of it. So I'm pretty sure being the elite, he might have done something. But as Brandon tries to find the Acclaimed, who should come out, but not Christopher Daniels, but Corporate Daniels.
Daniels.
Yes, as he is the stead for Tony Khan here in AEW. He basically nulls and voids the EVPs and Brandon Cutler's thing, and then Brandon Cutler proceeds to argue, and then again, he's Corporate Daniels, he's in a position of power, also HR, and then the HR person beats up Brandon Cutler.
It's the power of HR, people.
The power of
Don't
HR beats up people, and then Brandon Cutler gets thrown to the Acclaim, and the Acclaim do things, and then that's how this segment ends.
That was it.
We have their eliminator match next week. If the Acclaim win, they get a shot at the tag titles. I smell shenanigans because, as we said on Dynamite earlier in the week, I'm pretty sure the Acclaimed are going to be involved in Blood and Guts in July. So shenanigans are abound.
Yeah, I mean the spot was, even though the spot was fun, it did feel like it kind of lingered a little too long for me. But I'm excited to see if the Acclaimed get the shot at the tag titles. It would be interesting if it flipped the other way and the Acclaimed did end up with the tag titles. I think that would kind of throw everything up in the air type situation. But we'll see. We'll see. This all has a very late 90s WWE feel to it, with the got the evil corporate side against the good wrestlers side. Also has a very, I don't know if I said this in a previous review, it has a very Hulk Hogan's Rock and Wrestling feel, which was if throwing it way back for all you old heads, the Hulk Hogan's Rock and Wrestling was a cartoon back in the 80s where you had Hulk Hogan and all the good wrestlers against the Roddy Piper and all the bad wrestlers. But that's it's got this feel to me, which is a good thing. I hope that they don't, and this is a personal thing with the EVP, and we can move on after I say this. I hope that they don't, the bad side doesn't just hold on to all the titles for the longest time. I feel that if the EVPs drop the tag titles, that would make for good storytelling. And it's, again, trying to speak from a story standpoint, not that the Acclaimed have to have this huge tag run, but I feel that would add a new element to the story, that would give the EVP something else to connive against, etc., etc., etc. Moving on.
Yes, we move on to probably one of my favorite matches of the evening. We cut to commercial and we come back and we enter straight into our no DQ match, Deonna Purrazzo versus Thunder Rosa. This was probably, and shout out to Alice for having a short conversation with me yesterday, but this is probably one of the better women's matches that we've seen on television for AEW in this year so far, which not to say there hasn't been, because Chris and Willow and Thunder and Deonna, to me, have been carrying,
and Sky and Willow.
There's the women's talent is there. We just need more than one match every single week on each show, Mr. Tony Khan.
And let them do this type of match. They don't just have to do regular matches. They can do hardcore matches. They can do these type of no DQ matches. Go ahead, Mikey. I'm sorry.
No, this match had everything I wanted. It was a lot of fun. We had chairs, we had trash can and chain spots. Thunder Rosa running up the table and drop kicking Deonna was fantastic. It was
awesome.
Out of Mortal Kombat,
that was
Street
good.
Fighter. It was really cool. But probably my favorite thing in being creative, Deonna takes out the cameraman and then beats up Thunder and hits her with the camera to knock her out for the win.
Yup. That was good. That was inventive.
So much fun.
Yeah, that came out of nowhere when Deanna low blowed that cameraman, grabbed that camera, and then just smacked Thunder Rosa with it. This match was great. I love the fact that they came out in like actual like street wear and not like their normal ring wear. Because like Thunder Rosa, she had like jeans and the knee pads over the jeans. Thunder Rosa just had like workout clothes on, as if this wasn't going to be your stereotypical pretty match. I thought that choice in costuming made a very good point. The match was brutal without being gory. I know that a lot of these, for example, the last Willow Sky match, where Sky got busted open, and a lot of these DQ matches, they do end up getting blood somewhere somehow, but this one didn't, and I felt that was a good thing, that there was no blood spots in this match because it was still brutal. You still had like you said, Thunder Rosa running up that half cocked table and just Sky drop kicking, not even missile kicking Deanna Praza, who had the trash can over her. You had spots where people were getting hit with chairs and with the lids of the trash cans. Some people might say, oh, we wish this match would have gone on longer. I disagree, just for the simple fact that, number one, Thunder Rosa came back from a very serious injury, right? And I'm not sure, because again, my history with Deanna Purrazza has just been this recent AEW, but I'm not sure as to how many of these types of no DQ matches that she has wrestled in the past. But it has been said on record by numerous wrestlers time after time that these type of matches take a toll on your body, right? And for Thunder Rosa, who came back from serious injury, to have her lingering in this type of match where the threat of re-injury is higher, and also Deanna Pratz, who, even if she has maybe done one of these back in the day, it's been a long time, is still fresh and doesn't really, isn't really cued in with this type of, tables and ladders and chairs and all this type of match. I think that, so from a safety standpoint, that this match was the perfect length, because that's something else with these types of matches is, if you notice, these types of matches, you get a handful of individuals who have done these matches like time in and time out. So they know how to work these items and they know how to land. And even though accidents do happen, sometimes they have a miscue. Looking at you, Adam Copeland. He even admitted himself that his brain said one thing, his body said another, and he ended up listening to his brain and he paid the consequence. So he took that, showing that he knew how he had to land on that spot, but made that mental error. So again, from a safety standpoint, I think that this match was the perfect length. I thought it told the perfect story, and that's numero tres for Deanna Thunder. So, unfortunately, Thunder gets the short end of the stick on this one.
Yeah, Deanna walks out of this trilogy as the ultimate winner, having 2-1 for this record, which means that Deanna and Thunder are probably going to be done for now, which makes me sad. But here's hoping that we can see what leads to what goes next for Deanna and Thunder.
Yeah.
We get a quick recap package that showcases all the highlights from a whole entire year of Collision.
Yep.
And this was fun for me because of the fact I was like, I forgot how many banging matches Collision has had over the year.
Yes.
Which included the steel cage match with, Daniel Garcia, Mark Briscoe, House of Black. My favorite match this year on Collision, the 2 out of 3 falls for the tag team championship match between Switchblade Jay White, Juice.
Yep.
We got highlights of, Chris and Willow like holding down the women's division in pretty much a lot of the matches. We got to see the street fight match they had with Mercedes and Diamante, which was fantastic too. Like, I was like, I forgot how much Collision probably had some of my favorite matches over its, yearly lifespan. Yeah. And here's hoping we get so much more because I like Dynamite just because of the drama, but Collision is probably my favorite between the two.
And good
wrestling and good promos. And Collision, even though it's one women's match a week and we can do better, Collision handles their women's wrestlers a little bit better, I feel like, than Dynamite, but I'm happy that Collision is here. It's been a fun ride for the year, and I can't wait to see what other baller matches we get.
Yeah, and good, bad, or indifferent, whether you think it or not, we did have a very in the video package. We did have some shots of a certain CM Punk. Which whether you agree with what happened, you don't agree with what happened, whatever, he was there at the inception of Collision, and for a little bit there, he was that foundation of Collision. So it was, I felt it was nice that they still included him in that even after everything that happened.
I 100% agree. So next, we get into the match that was was a last minute addition. I didn't know I want this match until I got it, and I don't care how short it was. If this is building to something more, I'm here for it. But we had a random pairing that I want to see more of. We had Dalton Castle versus CMLL's Hechicero.
Yes, yes,
This
sir.
was a really fun match. I'm like,
Yeah,
just give me more Dalton Hechicero. Like, give me more. This was a fun match. I didn't know I wanted it until I saw it.
yeah. This was great. I was really happy to see Dalton Castle and Etchiset both, at in a prime spot, because not only are we on Collision, but we're like right in the middle of the card. You know what I mean? The match was great. It showed off how good of a wrestler that Dalton Castle is, for all the gimmicks that he has and his boys and the other frippery that he puts on. He is a good wrestler. He's a good wrestler and he has great technique, and that showed off. We also saw how inventive Etchisetto was, and a great showcase of the CMLL talent that is coming up, and hopefully is going to be seen more and more here in AEW. I did have, and Mikey, I'm gonna present this as a question, but at the end, when the Gates of Agony came out with Hechicero, and I know that they kind of formed an allegiance prior, but when the Gates of Agony came out with Hechicero, I had a feeling someone was going to get mumped up, right? At the end of the match, it was a great match. At the end of the match, though, the beating that Hechicero and the Cage of Agony, I should say, put on Dalton Castle. Being that it is Pride Month, do you think that was an appropriate ending?
So I want to start off by saying this. Happy Pride. It is the month of June. Shout out to all our folks in the LGBTQIA plus community. Whether you are a member or an ally, we appreciate you nonetheless. To answer your question, Adolfo, I think there's a slight kind of interpretation that probably wasn't necessarily a good choice, given the fact that Dalton Castle is literally a queer icon for wrestling.
Right. Yep. Exactly.
However, I don't. My biggest thing when I look at these kinds of things is I always look at intention behind the reasons that we see certain things.
Right.
And just based on my observations and based on what I know, I come to the conclusion that I don't think this, while this, I could see some people having an issue with it. I was like, probably not the best choice. I didn't take too much of an offense to it because it wasn't, because I think what helps is that I don't think there was any malicious intent with the beatdown of Dalton Castle. I understand how it could be interpreted that way, and I respect people who see it that way too. Because at first I was like, "Ooh, I don't know how I feel about this," but I think what kind of made it a little bit more okay. Not to say that the beating down was okay, but I think what saved it for me was the fact that even though Dalton Castle did get beat up, he did have people come out to sit for the saves because Daniel Garcia and Daddy Magic come out to even
Yep.
the odds and kind of chase off Echisettle and Cage of Agony, and they make sure that Dalton's okay. So the short version of it is yes, it probably wasn't the right move, but I'm a little more okay with it because hopefully it serves purpose for story reasons, but also it wasn't just Dalton getting beat up and nobody came to him because let's be honest, I love the Outrunners, but they were horrible backup because they got knocked
Yeah.
out. I
Yeah.
was like, I know what happened to the Outrunners now. They're part of. Please make the Outrunners and Dalton Castle a thing. That's what I want to see
A
from it.
trio? Yeah, that'd be fantastic.
Ridiculous.
Yeah, yeah, yeah. It's so easy seeing that the back half of this match. It's so easy to have that reflexive, like, yo, that's not right. But you're right. You have to keep it within wrestling context, and that context is that Eiji Seto and the Cage of Agony, they're monsters and they're made to wreck stuff. That's just that has been the that's been their shtick the whole time, or the whole time through, is that they not only beat their opponent, but they crush their opponent even afterwards. So yeah, I'm going to concede that point with you, is that looking at it just in that certain frame, it felt very insensitive. But then when you actually open it up and look at all the times Cage of Agony has been on, and how they have, that's just the thing that they do. You're right. It doesn't seem like it was made with malicious intent. Probably not the best choice by whoever set this match up. I feel they still could have gotten the point across with using another wrestler, but we got Dalton Castle. We saw Dalton Castle. Dalton Castle, awesome, and that's that. Moving on.
We move on from this because we finally have our first backstage segment of the whole entire night, which was kind of crazy.
Yeah.
But we have Dante and Top Flight being interviewed. Dante has his match coming up for the TNT Championship ladder match qualifier. And they get interrupted by Lio Rush, of all people. Very interesting dynamic because Dante and Lio seem to be cool. Action and Lio have a history outside of but Darius is not too keen on Lio Rush because he's like, yeah, I know who you are. I'm like,
Yeah.
I was like, are we going to get more Lio Rush in AEW, which I'm kind of cool with. But basically, Lio wanted to come in, give props to everybody, and that he's interested to see what Dante is going to do in the match later tonight. So he's going to stick around for a little bit, and they kind of awkwardly go their separate ways a little bit. I'm like, what are we doing? Color me intrigued.
Yeah, we're going to talk about this later on, so let's...
Yep. So this coincides with the match later. Next, we get also probably the second longest thing of the evening. We have our in-ring Father's Day celebration with the Patriarchy.
Oh, man. Yes, sir.
Look, I don't care what nobody says. Christian is so good on the mic.
He is.
I love this weirdness where Christian, and again, it's doing the thing that we've been wanting for a while, because this whole entire thing, Mama Wayne still looking like an Amazon. Shout out to Mama Wayne, super nice person in real life.
Yep.
But this whole entire segment, we had Nick Wayne give Christian the
it was one of these like
a kindergarten,
what my kid made for me for
it's like one of those
Father's Day,
like one of those elementary primary school cards, and he loved it. Meanwhile, you had Pablo Picasso over here and Killosaurus, Luchasaurus, Kill Switch do this whole entire Pablo Picasso painting. I was like, this is cool, but Christian was not having it. And basically, this whole entire thing is to set up not only giving Christian an ego boost, but Christian makes it known that the Patriarchy are coming for those trios titles. But Luchasaurus was not having it because we're continuing to plant the seeds that he's going to turn on the Patriarchy in some capacity because he keeps getting shunned.
Well, Luchasaurus, and I am going to call him Luchasaurus because, that's not his government name. Luchasaurus, even though the more seeds are planted, how many seeds can we plant? Come on, pull the trigger, let Luchasaurus break out. I mean, I thought that was going to be a perfect moment, for Luchasaurus, because he presented Christian Cage with this beautiful painting that he painted himself, and Nick Wayne just, presented a craft paper, a little made thing, I thought this was a perfect opportunity for Luchasaurus to just grab that painting and just smash it over Christian Cage's head, especially after the way that Christian Cage was just like, oh, that painting, it's okay. But this card that you made me, Nick, I will treasure it forever. Oh, man, I was just waiting for it. But yet again, Luchasaurus just, bitched out and stepped back in. And I say that because he has had so many moments where Christian Cage has just if this was in the real world, Christian Cage has just stepped over that line, and Luchasaurus should have come at him, guns blazing, but he hasn't, right? And I feel that this was another missed opportunity. And yeah, the redeeming part of this was the fact, and I'm gonna break the mold here, Mikey, but I don't care. This does now. This spot was redeemed with the fact that Christian Cage did announce that the Patriarchy is gunning for the trios championship, and then fast forward. It made it even better where at the end of the main event, which was the House of Black versus the Bang Bang Gang, with Juice Robinson instead of Switchblade Jay White standing in place. Buddy Matthews got concertoed by the Patriarchy, and you had the Patriarchy say, "Hey, House of Black, I see you got your shot, but you're not a trios anymore," and you see Buddy Matthews laying on the floor, and then the Patriarchy walks off. So not in I'm probably alone on my island because I know a lot of the people are like trios bands, trios division. I feel that this has now infused that life that has been missing from the trios division. Now you have the Patriarchy is just kind of like circling about. Yeah, we know that the Bang Bang Gang are heels, but the Patriarchy even more heels. So now it's like, what machinations are each other going to toss against each other? Will the Bang Bang Gang be able to hold on to the trios now that the Patriarchy is sniffing around? And lest we forget, we still also have Top Gun and Action Andretti in this. We also do have the Acclaimed and Billy Gunn still floating around in the trios. So if AEW stays on the gas with this, I feel that the trios division is finally going to heat up.
Well, yeah, you have lots of trios that are sticking around too. And I think we're going to talk about this since you brought it up too, about what happened after our main event match. Because with Buddy Matthews being incapacitated, though, this makes me excited because if they do this right, I think this would be a phenomenal thing. But essentially, because of what the Patriarchy did to Buddy Matthews and essentially House of Black, that probably means that House of Black will be leaning to be more a babyface. House of Black would be very interesting. I
Right?
mean, they're still spooky and they're dark, but now they have a reason to go after people, and they're like, "Oh, now you about to get these hands?" It's crazy, but yeah,
Right.
the trios division we still got a lot of teams. You have, the Bang Bang Gang, House of Black. You have, the Patriarchy with Luchasaurus, Christian, and
Death,
Nick. The
Death
Death
Triangle.
Triangle with Pac, which we'll talk about him in our main event
Yep.
because
Yep. Yep. Yep.
Pac is like, I don't like you, House of Black, but I don't like the Bang Bang Gang even more. So that's gonna
You're
be
right.
interesting. There's enough trios to finally do something, and then these are and then we have trios that aren't even in the title picture scene that we can use. Like we have the Undisputed Kingdom with Roddy, Matt Taven, and Mike Bennett,
You're
Top
right.
Flight, and there's so many. Everybody's involved in all these stories. Let's just utilize our trios championships because I'm going to
Let's
channel
do it.
our other host, Andrew, because me and him had a conversation about this. Trios and tag team divisions in any promotions always seem to be an issue. AEW's trios division is always a problem, whereas like the women's tag team division in WWE is also always a problem. But Tony Khan, Corporate Daniels, EVPs, let's make this happen.
Let's make it happen.
Make it happen. So
Stay on the
speaking of
gas. All right.
yes,
Next.
stepping. We're going to continue to step on the gas because next we get our TNT Championship qualifier match. We have Tiger Style, Lee Moriarty taking on Dante Martin. The stipulation here is that made previously that Shane Taylor Promotions and Dante and Action everybody was banned from ringside. So this is a true one-on-one match. This was a really fun match.
Lots of fun.
It was lots of fun. I'm excited that Dante picked up the victory here, but I'm getting flashbacks of Supercard of Honor from last year in ladder matches with Dante. I'm like, don't break another ankle.
Yeah.
But this was
Yeah.
fun. I was like,
Yeah.
one-on-one match, no interference. Lee and Dante are fantastic. Not to say everybody else in their respective factions aren't great, but I was like, yeah, these are the two I would put against each other.
Yeah, definitely. Yeah. Dante and Alice had made this comment while we were watching it. Dante was a lot more grounded than I expected him to be. But then again, Lee Moriarty did a great job kind of negating Dante's high flying style. On the flip side of that, this did show great wrestling chops with the two of them, and Dante still had some amazing moves, like that one where Lee Moriarty, they were both on the outside of the ring, and Lee Moriarty, comes around on the other side of the ring, and he's kind of like buying time for himself, and Dante jumps from outside the other part of the outside of the ring onto the ring edge, grabs the ropes, and then jumps through the ropes and double kicks Lee Moriarty. It still showed that he's got incredible moves. Lee Moriarty, as we had talked about, STP, Shane Taylor Productions, gets yet another L in AEW, in an AEW program, be it Dynamite Collision. And then, at the end of the match, we had Shane Taylor Productions coming out with what's his fish and chips boy,
Anthony Agogo.
Yeah, Mr. No. Oh, you bloke! Oh, I do the thing, you bloke, and I knock people out, you bloke. Fish and chips, bloke. I don't wear socks and funny shoes. Anyway, yeah, my boy, he comes out, and him and Shane Taylor, they just proceed to put the smackdown onto Darius. Action Andretti and the rest of Top Flight come out. They try to protect them, and they get stomped on as well. And then that's when we have
Lio Rush
come out.
Put the odds in the favor of Top Flight and Action.
Not even that. My man.
The 30 seconds of just him going cleaning house,
he looks like he's the size of my 5-year-old Lio Rush. Nothing against you, Lio Rush. I'm just saying, cameras, But he comes out and he clears the mat, clears the ring of Shane Taylor Productions. Yeah, okay. No, he even got a lick in on Tiger Style Lee Moriarty. Fish and chips, he just tosses out. Shane Taylor Production, he just whoop. Get out there, big boy. And then Lee Moriarty. And man, he showed some acrobatics. He showed some agility. He showed some drive. So, yeah, what are we doing with this guy there, Tony Khan?
I don't know. See, and as we know, Leo is not signed to AEW. He's still on the independents, and he wrestles a lot with New Japan too. So I'm hoping this might lead to something at Forbidden Door, but I'm also hoping that, I've always been a fan of Lio Rush. I know that he's matured a lot now, but my biggest critique of him in his younger years is his ego kind of got the best of him because he is that good, but he was also very cocky about it, but he's kind of toned it down a lot. And so I've become a big fan of Leo, and that cockiness has turned into confidence. There's a difference between the two. I don't know, but I'm very interested because he's going to be, it seems he's going to be hanging around Top Flight and Action for a bit. Dante is cool with it. Action is cool with it. Darius appreciated the help, but he's still wary. So I'm very interested in this interlocking storyline. If it's just to get to Forbidden Door or if it's going to go beyond that. But I'm here with new storylines that do not involve championships. You can do storylines that don't revolve around the title. Other companies do it, and they're just as fun. So I'm very intrigued, Tony Khan. I'm excited for this, but something else that I was excited for, we got a promo from Hikaru Shida. Love her to death. One of my favorite women in the AEW roster.
Was wondering where she's been.
She's been gone from TV for a little bit after losing to Athena at Supercard of Honor for the ROH Women's Championship. And this promo reminds us of how amazing she is. She's the only 3-time AEW Women's Champion, and she basically, this was a promo to announce that she's entering into the Women's Owen Hart Cup tournament. Before we move on, let me just tell you this. Forget the men's, okay? The men's is probably going to be cool anything, but we have 5 out of the 8 spots for the women's filled out. Let's go over who's involved in the women's, and it's already stacked, and I was like, oh, this is going to be good. Chris Statlander, Willow Nightingale, Saraya, Mariah May, and now Hikaru Shida. I'm like, I don't care who the other 3 women are. Throw my money at this thing. This is probably going to be my favorite series of matches. I'm like, y'all just stack the women's side of the tournament, and I'm gonna drop my one obligatory curse word for this. I'm fucking excited.
Yeah, as you guys were talking about it last night, I had to agree that the women's Owens Hart, but dare I say, last year the women's Owens Hart was a lot more exciting than the men's Owens Hart, and last year was the first Owens Hart tournament that I actually saw fully. So, and the women's matches were just better than the men's matches.
Well,
So,
yeah, and then on top of
it's,
that too, just with those 5 women involved, the fact that one of these women is about to earn a all-in championship title shot, I'm like,
yes, against
any of
against
those
Tony
5,
Storm and his
yes,
timeless Tony Storm,
any of
who
those 5, I'm like, I'm here for it.
yeah, who match in timeless Tony Storm, match in, match out, match in, match out. Might not be the best wrestled match, but God's damn if it isn't entertaining. So, and at All In, yeah, it's like this is a win-win. Tony Khan,
This is a
if
win
you're
for wrestling
listening,
fans. Don't fuck it up.
Christopher Daniels, Corporate Daniels, if you're listening, let's put the spotlight on that. Because yeah, it's just such a great storyline that is so easily just brushed to the side, and it shouldn't be, should not be. All right, moving on.
So we move on from our excitement to, a squash match, but a competitive squash match because this is Anthony Henry versus Kyle O'Reilly. Anthony
Yep,
Henry, again, coming back from broken jaw for a couple weeks. Him
yep.
and, JD Drake, workhorseman. Kyle O'Reilly continuing to be. Kyle O'Reilly continues to be on my television screen every week, and I am never going to complain about that.
Yes, sir.
Especially now it seems that we have a direction of where we're going with him. But again, this was a squash match, but a competitive one. Kyle O'Reilly ends up with the win here. The more interesting part is that the Undisputed Kingdom was on commentary for this one. I love
Yep.
Roddy. I love Roddy. I really do. But the chemistry was not there. But that's okay
Yeah.
because
Yeah.
it's to serve that, Roddy is in delusional land thinking, oh yeah, Kyle and I are great. I was like, is that the case though?
Yeah.
Because
This
he
is the
kind of
thing
beat
that
him up.
Kyle O'Reilly is missing. Kyle O'Reilly is missing this certain thing,
He's
and I
missing
can bring it
us.
out. Yeah. So, yeah. Even though again, Roddy, I feel like my 5-year-old can do better on a mic than Roddy, but it does actually forward the storyline with Roddy and Kyle O'Reilly, which is interesting to say. The match itself, you know what? I'm gonna be alone on my island. I'm okay with this. I don't consider this a squash match. I consider this a regular wrestling match. It was a regular wrestling match. Kyle O'Reilly won. Both Anthony Henry and Kyle O'Reilly looking great. Kyle O'Reilly, the more I've been seeing of him, I'm pushing him into that category of you can match him up against anyone and they'll still put on a good match. You know what I mean? Because when he does his reversals and all that, they just look so seamless and he just sells really well and he's a good partner. He's a good partner in the ring. So I am very interested to see where Kyle O'Reilly and Roddy are going to go. Next! Woo!
Next, we get the bumpers for what's happening on Dynamite this upcoming week, which includes a really interesting 8-person tag team match that I'm kind of here for. Orange, Mark, Kyle, and Dante Martin, of all people, taking on, the other team, which also includes one of my personal favorites, Zack Saber Jr.
Yes.
I'm not ready for this. My body's not ready. I'm like, oh my God, technical wrestling. Let's go.
When I saw Zack Saber Jr. was on this card, I exclaimed out loud, Zack Saber Jr. And Alice looked at me like I had 3 heads because, she doesn't know who Zack Saber Jr. is. And that's fine. Really, Alice, all Alice really watches is AEW and then some periphery stuff with me. And she's still learning all the wrestlers. So, and it's cool to be a new, this is how we have new wrestling fans come into the fold, people. We don't just be like, are you like that one? Blah. No, you gotta oh yeah, oh yeah, no, you don't know this individual? Watch this match or this or yeah or tell them about their exploits. Yeah, but when I saw Zack Saber Jr. on this card, that perked me up about this. I was not interested when I initially saw the the card graphic because I felt like it was a retread of the trios match that they just had this past week in Dynamite. But as soon as they said Zack Saber Jr., I was like, Zack Saber Jr., which also now makes me question what are they putting together for Forbidden Door? Because if correct me if I'm wrong, but the last time we saw Zack Saber Jr. on AEW was Forbidden Door.
Yeah, he was involved in one of my top 3 matches of last year's Forbidden Door, which was the fatal 4-way for the International Championship, and that was Orange, Zack Saber Jr., Shibata, and Daniel Garcia in that match, which was phenomenal. But yeah, we have Mark Briscoe, Kyle O'Reilly, Orange Cassidy, Dante Martin versus, and the other side's no slouch either, Kyle Fletcher, Roderick Strong, Konosuke Takeshita, and Zack Saber Jr. I'm just like, things are getting crazy.
Interesting.
And then
Very interesting.
Dynamite's going to be fun. We also get MJF versus Roosh. Dynamite's going to be fun.
No commercials.
No commercials. Mariah May is moderating the contract signing between Timeless Tony Storm and Mina Shirakawa, where, according to Tony, and these are her words, not mine, where the breast wrestle, which I'm like,
chin, tit, shoe, next.
It is ridiculous, but we make it to our main event. Yep, we have a trios match, non-title, and this is House of Black versus the Bang Bang Gang. This was a fun. I don't care what nobody says. The guns may still be green in certain aspects of the wrestling ring, but the one thing that I appreciate that they have down to a T is they're funny as hell in their comedic timing.
And they look like they're having fun.
Exactly.
They look like they're having fun.
Juice is out here disrespecting Malachi Black when Malachi sits down and then Juice does the dog pee thing. I was like, that is the most disrespectful thing, but Juice Robinson, you are
so good. Yeah, yes. Freaking Juice's chaos is just all over the freaking place.
We love our honeycomb monster.
Yo, he literally is just he is an X factor. If they ever have to come up with another nickname or whatever for Juice Robinson, please make it X Factor, because like he just, or Free Radical, because like I'm sure they have a plan going in, but when you watch the match, it's almost as if there is no plan for Juice. He kind of like inserts himself wherever he like deems is going to be the best, like to make the most chaos or to be the most comedic. You know, how about Buddy Matthews coming down, messing his knee up? I haven't seen any reports this morning that was a true injury, so I'm considering it as a work right now. So Buddy Matthews hurts his knee, is carted out, and then we have Malachi Black and Brody King versus the Bang Bang Gang. And how about Malachi Black actually wrestling? I forgot Malachi Black can wrestle, you know, because most of the time he has Brody and Buddy doing the heavy lifting. Yeah, but he actually he got in there, he got roughed up, a bunch of reversals, looked really good, you know. Go ahead, Mikey.
The passion that Malachi Black has for wrestling, I feel like maybe got reinvigorated after, because let's be honest, leading into the match against Adam Copeland at Double or Nothing, you know, me, you, the Dynamite crew, like anybody that reviews the AEW the biggest consensus that we all came together with is that Malachi just seems so disinterested, and I don't know if it's because, you know, they're not letting him do stuff, not giving him creative control, but I feel like, you know, after having the match with Copeland and then taking some time off, he was re-energized, because I'm like, this is the Malachi Black that I know and I love. So I was like, please give me more, please.
Yeah, and still, I will die on this hill. Brody King, of any promotion out there, any wrestler throughout time, Brody King delivers the most vicious clotheslines ever. Those things look like they will break your spine if you don't get hit the right way with them. Man, when he hit the Bang Bang Gang with it was just like, oh man, I was just like, oh god, so vicious.
They were so vicious, and I was just like, Brody King, me next.
Right, yeah, but yeah, you know, House of Black. They got lumped up by the Bang Bang Gang. We thought that we were going to see the Bang Bang Gang scoot out with this win. Oh, we should also mention that this was a non-title match.
Yep.
Because Tony Khan did come down from on high and say that Juice Robinson cannot be knighted as
the champion and whatnot. However, this turned into a number one contenders match too. Should win, there are number one contenders for the trios champions.
Well, so now that brings us back to, we got Juice Robinson getting up on the top rope, about to deliver the finisher to Malachi Black, and who comes out but the bastard Puck? He comes out, does the old banging on the rope thing. Juice falls, racks himself on the top rope, and Pac disappears back into the inky blackness. Bye, Bang Bang Gang.
Which allows House of Black to pick up the win here. I love in storytelling, it's like Pac is just driven by hate and pettiness.
Yes.
So I love that I love that hate and pettiness were the winners of this match, because he's like, I don't like you, House of Black, but I don't like the Bang Bang Gang even more.
Right.
So I was like, screw it. We're gonna mess with them. Just like so good.
Well, and it's also funny because it was Juice Robinson that cost Death Triangle,
the trios championships.
The trios championships. So that was a good come around. And then, as we had said before, at the very end of the match, we thought everything was coming up roses because the House of Black did win, so they were the number one contenders. But oh nope, here comes the Patriarchy. Christian Cage says, congratulations, but y'all aren't a trios anymore. And the camera pans down to Buddy Matthews, who's laying out cold post concerto. So, be it because he truly did get hurt, or maybe he's just taking some time off, whatever the case, this is reading to me that we're not gonna be seeing Buddy Matthews on our TVs for a little bit. Maybe him and Rhea have some real life stuff going on. Have some good real life stuff going on. I don't know, but so Buddy Matthews is gonna be out for a little bit. So now this leaves us the question: who will be made the number one contender? Will Tony Khan keep the House of Black as a number one contender? Will the EVPs butt their way in and finagle it so that Christian Cage and the Patriarchy are the number one contender? Will House of Black find a third, and who would they find as a third, so that they continue if in the trios division? Will this be made into like a triple threat match? What other trios team is going to jump in on this? Again, I feel like not only was this a great way to end Collision, but this was a great way to reinvigorate the trios division. Moving on.
Woo! Yes, which brings us to our thing that we do here here at the BC WrestlePod is Empanada ratings. I'm going to keep this really short and sweet for this one. I really enjoyed this Collision. I thought a lot of the matches were a lot of fun. What made me super excited is the prospects of the various stories that we got going on, both in the championship scenes and non-championship feuds as well. We got some closures on some feuds, and now we're going to start other ones. So easily put, this is an easy 8.5 out of 10 empanadas for me. This was actually, you know what? I'm going to bump it up to a 9. I love this Collision. This was a lot of fun. And I was like, this, for a 1-year anniversary show, I was like, you showcase all the things that made me love Collision and made me become a fan, and also tout that Collision is the stronger show than Dynamite. Sue me, internet, but 9 out of 10 for me. Fantastic. Had a great time.
Yeah, you can disavow my empanada scale this week if you want, because this a lot of nostalgia did start weighing in on me with this episode. This was the first show that I was allowed to take the reins on and do the review on a year ago with the first Collision, where I reviewed it with Alice. This, and then a week after this Collision, on the second Collision show, I was able to share Alice's first live wrestling experience when we went and saw Collision at the Prudential Center over here in Newark, New Jersey. So for me, this was a 9 out of 10. Great wrestling. I felt like some of the spots lingered a little too long, but just on the nostalgia factor for me itself, it was a 9 out of 10. Definitely, I will say that this is a Collision that I would tell people to go back and watch. Like if you want an example of Collision and you want to see Collision, go back watch this collision because this was in terms of wrestling, storytelling, and having pieces fall into place. This is the one.
Exactly. And, we made it to a year of Collision, and so El Buntador, it is my distinct pleasure to always get to review this with you, and I look forward to doing it to the future. You are one of my favorite peoples I get to do this with, and we get to review probably one of my top 3 shows that I get to review each week. So thank you for sticking with me and sticking with this journey for a year. Like, fantastic. I love you so much, dude.
I don't know who this Adolfo person is, but I'm sure they'd say thank you for having him.
Well, if Adolfo was
I, El
here,
Buntador, I know why I'm here. And so, and I thank you for allowing my awesomeness to be here.
yes.
But yeah, so
So me and El Buntador got to get up on out of here. So I'm excited to review Collision, which is going to be interesting because we are so close to Forbidden Door.
it's
We
getting there.
are
Yeah.
less than a week away. So
And
I'm
it feels
super
like they
excited.
actually have storylines falling into place.
We have 5 confirmed matches.
Yeah,
Who knows what else we're
instead
going to
of the
get?
night before. So
Yeah, so I'm
it's
super
great.
excited. But for myself and El Buntador and the rest of the BC WrestlePop boys, remember, take care of yourself, love one another, stay Bi-Conic. But more importantly than anything, you always deserve to finish your story. We'll catch you on the flip side next week. But until then, adios, sayonara, and tata for now. Billy Starks
Billy Starks
outro.
outro.
Thank you so much for tuning in to another Vibe Tribe production. What's going to happen next time? Well, you're going to have to tune in to find out. But until then, remember, take care of yourself, love one another, and as always, make sure that you keep the good times rolling. Thank you for being here, and we'll see you next time.